Well, hello, I'm back, and I recently made a video where I was talking about how you have to choose between Trump or America. Now, obviously, that is a device in order to get people to pay attention, but it's also kind of serious. In fact, very serious. And I wanted to address some of the arguments that people decided to bring forward from that video. Now, for the most part, most people were really chill about that video, which tells me I must be doing something good. But you don't want to get stuck necessarily into a bubble, and you want to be able to see what other people are saying and talk about them. And because this is a one-sided direction that we do these things, at least as far as this format on YouTube, I will be looking at some arguments, and I will be addressing them here in that video forum and putting forth my best arguments, and hopefully this can help some other people when they have to talk to people in their own lives, maybe try and get some of your thoughts a little bit better together, etc., etc., etc. Now, the most common problem that people had with my previous video was I stated that America is not your rights. It is first and foremost a separation of powers. And the reason why I said that is not because, well, your rights don't matter. Of course your rights matter. And yes, that is part of the Constitution. And yes, that is part of being American and being part of America. But the problem is your rights don't matter if there is no way to make sure you keep them. And the number one way in which we manage to keep our rights is by the checks and balances in our government, the separation of powers. One branch of government says, no, you can't do that. It frustrates the other to maintain in between this constant battle between the three, our ability to live our lives the way we want them to. Now, and this extends especially to my libertarian friends. If you enjoy liberty and your rights, you should absolutely be in favor of the most stringent separation of powers, the most stringent checks and balances, because while the government is busy battling itself over whether or not it can control your life, you get to enjoy more of your rights. That's how this works. So yes, of course your rights are important. Of course they are. But they don't mean shit if you don't have them. Which is why, before we even get to talk about rights, we have to make sure that we can somehow maintain those rights. People have this idea, and it's a very naive idea, that rights are just simply something that is concrete, and you can't change them. Of course they can change them. They can do whatever they want. These are the people in control of our government, of our military, of our money. They can do whatever they want. They have to battle each other so we can get away with just living our goddamn lives. That's how it works. That's how understanding your role within the government and in society with this government works. You can't just get indignant and be like, no. Like, we've had this bizarre idea about authority and rules in the United States and in a lot of Western cultures for a long time, where we seem to think that there are these hard limits, these like barriers by which our world, our existence, our reality is constructed, and it can't push past it. Yes, it can. It has throughout history, all over the place. We are not special. It is happening now. Like, my guys, you gotta pay attention. So this is what I'm talking about, right? That's what I mean. We have to maintain a separation of powers. They have to frustrate each other. Otherwise, they can walk all over us. And Trump wants to do that. He wants to do that. He wants to take over aspects that are otherwise controlled by Congress. He wants to now, and this is such a big one. He wants to dismiss the judicial branch's position on being able to do anything to meter his powers. He wants to be king. He wants to be dictator. But we're going to get to that and that development in just a bit. I want to talk about that near the end, and it's a developing situation that makes the video that I just recorded and put out before this so much more salient and so much more on point. So stick around for that. But I want to get to some of these other arguments. One of the other arguments that was so fervently thrown at me was one from a position of the Second Amendment, and largely from people who are libertarian-minded. Now, I need to make sure we understand something. Libertarianism There's libertarian, the party, and libertarianism, the philosophy. I like the philosophy. Sounds good. But unfortunately, many people who identify as a libertarian think it means taxation is theft, and that's all it's ever meant, and that it's a right-wing philosophy. And it's not. It never has been. It has been co-opted by dickheads who have sold you that idea. It's very silly and it's very stupid. Go read a goddamn book. Now, if your sole consideration in voting for Trump was the Second Amendment, you are stupid. You are dumb. Number one, it's okay to be a single-issue voter if it's something that is, like, monumentally important. Like, I don't know, I don't want, tyranny. Like, all-around tyranny. But making guns your single issue and then voting for Trump is insanity. Absolute insanity. Now, yes, when this is brought up, people are like, well, I didn't like Kamala. I didn't like Kamala either. Stop bringing up Kamala. I didn't like her either. Better than Trump, but I didn't like her either. She was going to take the guns. Well, how did that work out the last few times anybody tried to do that in the American government? It always gets struck down by the courts. I don't know if you noticed or anything, but the Supreme Court is overwhelmingly conservative now. Your gun rights were fine. They were going to be fine under the Democrats, 100%. They weren't going to be able to do shit on guns. And if you think that they were, you are lying to yourself and me and being extremely naive. The last person to ban anything about firearms was Trump with the bump stock ban. And people will go, well, yeah, that was unconstitutional. Oh, really? Well, how do you parse that? Yeah, well, but he's not going to do any more. Well, how the fuck do you know that? You're trusting a politician? Really? You're trusting a politician? Really? Okay. Tell me how that works out. There's this notion in America that you have the Second Amendment to protect the First, which, fine. Believe that if you want. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Fine. I'm a gun nut. I believe in gun rights. I believe in having my guns. If the cops have guns, I should be able to have the same amount of firepower. That's how I feel about it. It doesn't get anything like militias or tyrannical government or whatever. It's if the fucking cops have the guns, I should have guns too. Kiss my fucking ass, all right? That's how I feel about it. But as somebody who is very into having that protected, I can tell you I have never been more concerned about somebody being able to arbitrarily come in and just take guns from anybody more than Trump. He's outright stated in favor of red flag laws. Oh, why can't we just go in and take the guns and then sort it out afterwards? He said these things. He absolutely said these things. But, well, he didn't mean it. Shut the You have to willfully plug your fingers into your ears and go, la, 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 he didn't mean it, in order to be able to support this. The simple fact of the matter is, there was no good candidate on the ballot for president that was going to be good for the Second Amendment, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. Neither of them were. You're just making an excuse and you're being a coward. That's all there is to it. If you were a single-issue voter and it was guns and you voted for Trump, you're an idiot. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. You're an idiot. Thanks for the higher prices on our groceries, our inflation, our gas that's going to happen, the destabilization in our global stage, and all the terrible shit that's about to happen. Thanks a lot for that. I really hope you feel comfortable with your guns. The next one of a single issue was there was somebody who was like, I really don't like Trump, but I'm really insulted that you brought up the whole trans issue and just dismissed it out of hand. And I feel like that's and they went off for like about 6 paragraphs about how women need to be defended because of the trans menace. And to that, I have a very simple argument. Fuck off, TERF. Fuck off. Get the fuck off my channel. Unsubscribe from me and never watch another one of my videos again. Eat shit. Okay? That is my intellectual argument when somebody comes forward with their turfy shit. I don't fucking care. Shut the fuck up. Go the fuck away. Okay? Got that one cleared. Knocked it out of the park. Now, there are lots of different ways in which we can argue whether or not Trump is an absolute disaster or just more of the same. I would say at this point it is almost impossible to consider him going to be just business as usual. His first administration back in 2016 to 2020 was awful, and he fucked a lot of things up, but he was also incompetent, and he did not have the vast majority of the right wing in places of power in our government to be able to accomplish all the things that he wanted to do. So he was frustrated from that. But he did a lot of damage while he was in office. Granted, things that we could recover from. He is not making that mistake this time. He's got Apartheid Clyde, a.k.a. Mr. Elon Musk, the rikest man in the world, running around with his weirdo Nazi dorks, gutting lots of programs. And I had people started to argue about USAID with me in the comments as if I mentioned USAID. They are not just coming after USAID. They're also coming after veterans benefits, labor benefits. They're coming after everything. Department of Education. Well, I don't like any of those. Fine. You don't like those things? Fine. You go and tell your friend or relative who's a veteran who's going to get their benefits slashed that they're going to be fine. You just didn't. You don't like those programs, so you're glad that they're getting taken away. Or your friends who might have a child that's disabled. Well, I know their programs got slashed and they no longer have that extra support, but whatever. Do you have a farmer friend that no longer is going to get that extra government bump to make sure that their farm doesn't go under? You go explain to them why that's a good thing. You take the responsibility for it. You explain it to the people that are going to get hurt. You do it. You decided on it. I sure as fuck didn't. So here's where it comes down to the last thing I really want to mention, and this is what's really, really fucking getting to me, okay? I made the argument that Trump was going to bypass all of the checks and balances. Well, it's evident that that's actually going to continue to happen, because recently a judge put a stop to several of the motions that they were trying to do. Access to the Treasury, access to this. States are suing the Trump administration, trying to stop them in this way, in that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is how they react. This is J.D. Vance. This is him tweeting about somebody trying to stop or put a cease to the president from just overstepping his authority. If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's called a military tribunal. No, it's not. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. No, it's not. That's how it works. That's literally how it works. That's literally how it works. He says judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Yes, they are. That's the point. J.D. Vance went to, what was it, Yale? I think he went to Yale. He should know this. So either he knows it and he's lying to you, or he was a really crappy student and he got by on, I don't know, nepotism or something like that. All of these things are part of what the judicial branch is supposed to be about. They see how things are going and they say it's not supposed to go that way. We had made the administrative state in order to be able to facilitate that being more streamlined. We had agencies to be like, whoa, okay, we have policy and directions by how this sort of thing is supposed to go. That's for like business practices, for safety practices, for environmental practices, for educational practices, for labor practices, for trade practices, for everything. These are the groups that we assigned, and the government put the head of it so that they would hire the people to streamline all of this so we didn't have to have our head of governments in direct control of these things. They don't have as much direct power. They only have the hiring and firing power, which has been the pleasure of the president for forever, since the beginning of this country, and that allows those things to be more streamlined. But now those things are getting gutted and destroyed by Elon Musk at the behest of Trump. And so the judges, which do have the ability to do that, are saying, actually, no, you can't do that. And they're going, and saying that they're going to do it anyway. Now here's where we put on our thinking caps, okay? And if you come this far in the video and you haven't just turned it off, I'm assuming you're actually here to listen, to actively listen and to understand what I'm trying to tell you. Let's say the Trump administration wants to do something, and they're not supposed to do it. Like, there are rules in place. You could say there's laws, but whether it's a law or it's a rule, let's go with either. And they're not supposed to do it because, hey, that's illegal, right? But they start doing it because what? Are the cops going to arrest them? What are they going to do? So they start doing it, right? And then a judge goes, hey, you can't do that, and orders them to stop. What if they just do it anyway? Then what? What then? Do you understand what I'm telling you right now? Do you understand the problem that we have right now with this specific situation? If anybody, but especially the president, can go and do a thing that's wrong, even if there's a law against it, and then the person that's supposed to be able to tell them, hey, you can't do that, says, hey, don't do that, and then they do it anyway, what do we call that? Nobody can tell them no. Nobody can enforce a rule on them. Nobody can punish them. Nobody can have authority over them. What do we call that then? Do we call that tyranny? Do we call that a dictator? Do we call that a king? What do we call that? Because this is where we're at. This is what people voted for. And it's not like they were hiding this before you could go to the ballots. Like, this is where we are. And this is what you have to ask yourself. Are you okay with this? And even if, let's say, you like Trump. Wouldn't be me, but say you do, right? If you've actually watched this whole video and you still like Trump, I commend you for having some endurance. And you look at this, take Trump out of it, and just replace generic president. Put Bush in there, or Reagan, or Obama, or Clinton. Anybody. Are you okay with the idea of America having a king? Are you okay with that? What if it was a king you didn't agree with? Because the thing about a king is, once they have the ability to be king, they can do whatever they want, and they don't care whether you like it or not. And eventually, they will do something that you don't like, and there is no way you can get them to stop. And once they have all that power, there's no way to get them out. So these are things to think about, things to mull over in your mind. And if you really want to start ranting at me about your one single stupid issue, and especially if it's Second Amendment kind of shit, all I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to engage in this any further. All I'm going to tell you is, brother, just give it 6 months and then we'll revisit this and I'll see if your gun rights are still just as intact. You know, we'll see. We'll see. I hope they are. I hope they are. But you know, who knows? Either way, that's going to be it. Just another quick little video. I wanted to do a little follow-up to the one that I recorded before. I hope you guys are well, your family as well. From mine to yours, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.